Hey everybody, so this is my 1972 C10. I've had this truck since I was 15 or 14. The neighbor's cat wants some attention. It's been parked for a really long time. And say hi, Eric.
Hi,
Eric. Thanks to Eric, finally drug it up out of the trees over there, behind the shed. So today's day 0. We washed it. I got a video of us doing that. I washed in the engine compartment. Tomorrow I'll get all this shit out of the back of it. That's actually a brand new fuel tank for it. A friend of mine gave me. And there's just a ton of copper from various projects and a little bit of, just trash. On here, there is some art my friend Willie drew on here. He was my best friend growing up, and unfortunately he passed away. But it's time, the Ford power versus Chevy power. And Andrew's truck over there, I don't know what the hell all he wrote on this thing. But it's time. It's got to go. The seat needs to come out of it. Like I said, it came out of a Ford. I want to get a factory bench, or I might look into getting just a couple bucket seats, because I do like having a center console. While I was still driving it, this truck hit, you can see it there, 99,994 miles, and I pulled over on the side of the road and disconnected the speedometer so it wouldn't roll over any further, with this in mind. And I actually drove it one more day after I disconnected it and blew the motor up. Since then, the dash is starting to fall apart. It had a little crack in it, but this stuff's so brittle and rotten, but it's fine. I mean, those dash pads are nothing. The floors are still in really good shape. I mean, there's surface rust, but there's no holes through the floors. There are, of course, like every Chevy truck, it needs rocker panels and cab corners. But that's about it. There's 2 dents that I know of. 3 dents, I take that back. When my dad was teaching me how to drive, I thought I knew everything, and I was fishtailing around the corners. And I did this right here in the center of the bumper. You can see it right there in the center. I was fishtailing and went around a corner, overcorrected, and went straight off into a ditch. Luckily, Dad, jumped in the driver's seat and backed it out. This, I don't know how this happened on the other side here. I'm not going to replace this bumper. I'm just going to get a ratchet strap and pull down on this a little bit. It should help with that kink, and it'll get it down. Then let's see, there's a dent. One of the very few actual dents is this one, and that's probably how this bumper got messed up. So my mom was driving this truck, and it's an old truck, and I think it was back in like 2000 and it's probably like 98 or 99. She hit one of the bollards at a gas station. She didn't, the brakes were acting up. It was wintertime, and she just slid right into it. Luckily, that was all it did. It wrinkled the fender right here. Sorry. It wrinkled the fender right here, and then it rolled that bumper up just a little bit. There's a dent down here. Oh, there's a dent down here because I was really mad one night and kicked the shit out of it. And I don't remember which side of the bed it's on. Don't look at all the trash. I'll fix that tomorrow. Maybe it's not on the bed. But somewhere I was really having a bad day, and I may have used my truck as a punching bag. But anyway, so this motor, it did run when it was parked. It's got some problems. The valves need adjusted. That Holley carburetor needed rebuilt. Since then, it's sat for 20 years. So I'm sure that this motor's seen better days. These valve covers were off because we were gonna, a while back, we were gonna work on it, and I knew the valves needed adjusted, and I left them off, not thinking, and squirrels got in there and completely packed the engine with acorns. So, like I said, I don't have much hope for the engine, but if we can make it run for now, it's great. The eventual goal is to get like a 6.2 liter Camaro engine and just drop that in here and have the transmission with overdrive and all that stuff. But like I said, for as old as it is, it's in really good shape, and it still looks good when it's wet. The paint's faded a little weird, like you can tell this fender, this front fender looks just a little bit different than the door. I'm not really sure. Maybe more light got on this while it sat over in the weeds. Let's see. I did have plans, or I did work on it a while back. And when I say a while back, I mean like when he was probably 3. And we drug it up to a friend of mine's shop. And I drug it, my brother and I messed with it. I think we drug it about, gosh, I don't know, 4 or 5 blocks. And the back wheels never unlocked. You know, they were seized up. So on the side of the road, we jacked it up. And I couldn't get the drums off of it, off the back. So we ended up taking a sledgehammer and smashing the drums to unseize the brakes. So back up in there somewhere, Eric found one of the brake pads. It needs things. Like I said, the interior needs to be fixed. It needs all gone through on the inside. The door handles are the typical 70s style Chevy door handles. You shut them hard once and they break. I've probably replaced both of these at least a dozen times, but I know what causes it. I know how to fix it. So this time when I do it, I'll do it the right way. This is the 8th engine I've had to put in this truck. Back when I was younger, I had a pretty heavy foot. You don't do that, do you? No, I don't think so. It is the 4th transmission. This is the 2nd rear end, and then Grandpa and Dad actually it had a single piece drive shaft in it when we got it, you know, just a solid drive shaft, and it kept breaking U-joints, you know, when Dad was maybe being a little aggressive on the gas pedal. And one time it broke the front yoke off the back of the transmission, and it actually launched the truck up into the air, probably 4 feet. And I think he said he was doing around 90 and still on the throttle. We'll have to ask Mikey because he was with him. So, I mean, like every teenage boy, you know, I've got hundreds of stories and hundreds of memories in this truck. Some good, some not so good. That is what it is. So, one of those transmissions that I was explaining, I replaced it. Willie and I put the transmission in here, right here in this backyard. And I went, I don't know, probably 10, 15 miles at the most. And the fucking transmission went out. The torque converter wasn't engaged all the way onto the, you know, the transmission pump. So the fluid started not pumping through it. And I had no idea, and I didn't know what to listen for. I went around a corner, gave it a little gas, and it stopped. I mean, it just stopped. It had no power. The engine was revving out like you had neutral, and that was that. So I got out, I crawled underneath there. The transmission fluid was boiling everywhere, and I kicked it. So whatever. Like I said, there's a million stories. I think one of the best ones though is when that drive shaft broke. I didn't finish that. So the drive shaft broke when Dad was going down the highway with Mike in there, and I think that was the 3rd time it had done that. 2nd or 3rd time it had done that to Dad. So he ended up, him and Grandpa had an old hot rod guy outside of town actually build a 2-piece drive shaft for this truck with a carrier bearing. God knows how I'm gonna find parts for that. He's still out there. The guy who did all of this, he's probably in his 90s now, but I don't know. I might, if I have to, I might go to him and see what he remembers, if anything. I know he remembers me, and I know he remembers Grandpa, but I don't know if he remembers this project. The goal right now is Eric and I want to get this up and running and driving by Christmas. So that's the goal. We've got 3 months, basically. I don't know if I can make this motor work, or if we're going to have to go get another engine and another transmission. I know the transmission will have to be replaced. I know the brakes have to be redone, but why not? It shouldn't be that hard. I feel like if this engine's good and can be saved, I can probably have it up and running in 2 weeks at the most. And that's if I have to order a rebuild kit for that carburetor. I might be able to just get it fired up, you know, leaking a little bit. I don't really care. I don't know. The interior stuff's easy. There's a place right up in Kansas City. They do everything. I mean, I could literally drive up there right now and buy every single part and piece to this truck, down to the nuts and bolts and mirrors I'm missing, everything. So I don't know. Give it a shot, get it running. Like I said, this is all because of Eric, because I guarantee you, if he wouldn't have twisted my arm for the last month to get this thing out, I mean, every single weekend, Dad, we're gonna do it, Dad, we're gonna do it, Dad, we're gonna do it. And this was the weekend. I shot a video of us pulling it out over there by the shed, and got a time lapse of me and him pressure washing it and cleaning it up. I'll include all that here after this if you guys want to check it out. But that's it. So this is the next project. Get Mike over here to help a little bit. I'll have Eric help. All the kids are excited. Tony's even excited. She's like, man, it's in a way better shape than I thought it was in. So, I mean, get this running. I'll get that piece of crap Jeep I just bought. I'm so tired of that thing. And the only reason why I didn't put much effort into this is because, I mean, it's a toy. It's a project, right? It's a transmission with 3 speeds. So if you're going 70 down the highway, it's turning like $4 grand with the gearing it's got. It wasn't made to just cruise down the highway. When I set it up, I mean, I made it to drag race at one point. So, sorry, there's some 4-wheelers going by, so I paused it. You know, whenever I was working on this, when I was younger and stuff, I had this grand idea that I wanted to drag race it. Now, I still want to drag race it, but I don't want to just do that. I want to have overdrive. I want to be able to go down the highway at 75 miles an hour at, you know, 2,800 or 3,000 RPM. Something way more manageable. You got anything, Eric? What do you think about it? It's a huge deal. I mean, you're the reason why it's sitting right here and why it's cleaned up. So what do you think? You don't know? All right, guys. I'm going to send this to my dad. Hopefully it'll make him really happy. And this truck's here because of him. I mean, so I'm going to send this to my dad, and I guess all credit goes to him because he got it. I mean, he got it for me, I think in 97. I've got the title in there. I could go look. 96 or 97. And I drove it until 2003 or 2004, somewhere in there. And it's not driven since 2004. So very neglected, very neglected truck, but it's still here, and most of the parts are still here. I've still got the keys to the ignition. Eric put a new starter in it the other day, thinking he could throw a starter in it and it'd fire up, but it's going to be a ton of work. But I don't have a job now, so I guess I've got time for a ton of work and to make YouTube videos. All right, so let's go over the goals, right? If this engine won't run, and like I said, I know the transmission's bad, but if I have to replace the engine and transmission, then my goal would be to get a truck like Eric's, you know, an early 2000s GMC with a modern 5.3 engine, modern transmission with overdrive, and a rear end. I'll throw the whole thing in this as a complete package. I'll use the wiring harness, the ECU, I mean all of it, even the brakes on the rear end if they're still good. And it'll be done. And then I'll have a modern truck, which may even have ABS, to drive and to let Eric drive. Because he's really, really, really wanting to drive it, aren't you? If you get a haircut, I might even let you take it to prom. Think you'll get a haircut? Hell no. Anyway, guys, it's getting dark. I got lots and lots of ideas, and I owe all this to Eric. I would not have screwed with this if it wouldn't have been for him. At least not now. I've actually thought about it, but my plan was, you know, of course, to drag it out for a couple more years before I messed with it. So, anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I probably did the voiceover at the top of a time lapse. If you got any questions or got any comments or suggestions, if you want to donate me a engine and transmission, I'd love you forever. Eric, love you long time. A little reference there if you guys know the name of the movie. Anyway, I appreciate you watching, and there will be a lot more to come on this. I have lost my job, and I have no intentions on going back to work, at least for the next couple months. Obviously, I'll have to go back to work at some point, but right now I'm going to work on this truck. I'm going to make YouTube videos every day and just grind on YouTube and do some relaxing. I mean, I've worked my ass off for a long time, and I deserve a couple months off. So anyway, again, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys tomorrow.